All right, let's get to one of the big two marquee games. How about Clemson, Oklahoma playing in the Orange Bowl the end of December? You got a Clemson team that is undefeated, and yet they're an underdog here, 3.5 to Oklahoma, and the total's gone up from 64 to 66. These teams actually played in a bowl game 1 year ago. Sooners were a 6.5-point favorite, got blown out 40-6. You can't pay any attention to that because the quarterbacks in that game were Cole Stout.
I bet you Bob Stoops is paying attention to it.
He'll be watching it, but the quarterbacks were Cole Stout.
He remembers it.
And Trevor Knight, and these guys are just, they're gone, and these guys are just so much better for these teams. Clemson 13-0 on the season, yet they're a 3.5 to 4-point dog here. Tremendously talented offensive team. Deshaun Watson, a sophomore quarterback, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. He also has 887 yards rushing. He's got a lot of skill position talent surrounding him, and the defense, which was rebuilding, has been much better than many of us thought. They finished up 5th in the nation with 38 sacks, 19th in total defense. They come off the game against North Carolina, where it was an offensive show. The defense has been better than that. So, Sean, should a 13-0 team be an underdog here in the bowl game?
Well, I mean, yeah, right. Clemson, first of all, this is the Orange Bowl. It's in Miami. The game, of course, will be played on the 31st of December, and it'll be at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you definitely want to check the weather. Anytime a game's being played in Florida, you want to know what the weather's going to be. I tried to get on one of those weather channels to get ahead.
You can't see it from here.
Yeah, I couldn't, see what the weather's going to be like in Florida. Clemson, no respect. You're right, 13-0 straight up. I have them at 6-1 against the number. And 1-4, however, their last 5 against the numbers. So they're a money burner recently. And both of these quarterbacks are sophomores, but they are incredibly talented, both of them. Deshaun Watson, of course, was in the running for the Heisman Trophy. Look at these numbers: 30 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions, 3,512 yards, 887 yards rushing, and 5.4 yards a carry. I mean, this guy, he's a stud. He's a horse. Running back is his name, Gallman. He's the running back, 1,332 yards. He rushes at 5.5 yards a clip. Clemson defense, they get after the quarterback. They have 38 sacks. Here's Oklahoma. They got one blotch on their record, and that's that
Texas.
That bad loss as a 17-point dog up in Dallas about 10 weeks ago. They were a huge favorite.
Yeah, 17 charge.
17, and they were never in the game. They never led, never were threatened to cover, nothing. I don't know what happened to them that day. But overall, 11-1 straight up, and a very good, I'm big on this, 9-3 against the number. They're 6-1 against the number. Their last 7 games after that Texas loss, when they had that big meeting in October with the linemen and one of the assistant coaches. And Oklahoma can score. They average 46 points a game. Sophomore quarterback Baker Mayfield. He may not have been in the running for the Heisman, but he's no slouch. 35 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. Running back Perrine, I never know how to pronounce his name, 1,291 rushing yards at 6.1 yards a pop. Oklahoma is a storied program, 7 national titles. Clemson has to play, I think, error-free to win. The last time they won the national title, they were undefeated. That was back in 1981. Does anybody remember who the quarterback was? Guy named Perry Tuttle. They played Nebraska. They were a 4.5-point dog, and they won it.
The coach was Danny Ford. I remember that.
I think it was Danny Ford, yeah. So this is a close game, 2 talented quarterbacks. But Oklahoma beat Baylor, TCU, and Oklahoma State. And I don't see anybody on Clemson. And Clemson was lucky, in my opinion, to get by Notre Dame right at that last play. Could have went either way. And Notre Dame could have got that win. So I think Clemson would have to play error-free football. I mean perfect football to win this game. I think it's a short enough number. You said Oklahoma 3.5. I've seen some 4s out there. You're right. The total's up around 66.5. And they're assuming that the weather's going to be good. So somebody must be doing their homework, because I couldn't find out what the weather will be like. It's tough to go against that Oklahoma offense. I just don't know that Clemson can stop that. And Stoops, I don't know, not always the greatest thing in bowl games, but I think the edge is clear with Oklahoma. It'll probably be a close game. I don't see a blowout here. I don't think Clemson's going to roll over and die. So I would say Oklahoma probably by 6, maybe 7 years old. I would have to go with Oklahoma in this game.
Well, early on in your analysis, it sounded like you were taking a strong stand on Oklahoma. But you're saying it could be a close game. Yeah.
Well, I don't think Clemson's going to roll over. I think they're not going to quit. Too much talent on that team. But I think Oklahoma's inside if I have to play it. So.
Yeah, Dabo Swinney has just done a remarkable job rebuilding since he's been there, but also rebuilding the defense this offseason. Baker Mayfield's numbers at Oklahoma, they brought in this new air raid offense, and boy, did this kid take to it perfectly. 35 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, loaded with skill position talent. Wide receiver Sterling Shepard over 1,200 yards receiving. And the defense has played fairly well down the stretch. So, Jeff, both defenses are going to be tested, particularly the Sooner defense. Are they national title worthy here?
Yes, if Bob Stoops wants to motivate his team, just have him watch last year's Russell Athletic
Bowl game.
It was 40-6, 27 at the half. They were down. Obviously, Oklahoma didn't want to be there last year. That's where they played too. But it's very rare you get a big revenge game in a bowl game like this, and that's the situation we have here. Oklahoma did have that close loss to TCU, but that was a sandwich game around road games against Baylor and Oklahoma State. But since that loss to Texas, they've just been tremendous. It's amazing how one game can really wake up a team. Yeah. Baker Mayfield is completing 68% of his passes, 35 TDs, 5 interceptions. Deshaun Watson, another great quarterback, 69.5% of his passes, 30 TDs, 11 interceptions. And we have two great running backs here. Samaj P. Ryan, nearly 1,300 yards, 15 TDs. Wayne Gallman, 1,319 yards, 11 TDs. So we have it's very evenly matched here with as far as the skill players here. I think Oklahoma is definitely, when you look at the schedule, they've played a tougher schedule here. As Sean mentioned, not many teams, including Clemson, probably could beat Baylor, TCU, and Oklahoma State in succession with 2 of those games on the road. So it should be a great game. It's probably one of all the bowl games. This might be one of the top ones to watch. It should be very entertaining, and it's hard to go against Clemson, with an undefeated team. But boy. After watching with that motivation,
is this one of your stay away? I'm gonna not do it
it's a
things.
stay away game. If I had to, it'd probably be Oklahoma or nothing. But I think it's one of those games that's gonna sit back and enjoy and not really.
This one might go to overtime. This
one
could go to overtime.
So you're not putting too much into the revenge angle.
Well, that would be
all the marbles.
That's one of the biggest factors. But still, they got to cover 4 points too against a Clemson team that's undefeated and has a underrated defense. So I'll lean toward Oklahoma, but definitely not a big play.
All right. Well, since you guys didn't touch the total, I'm going to have to do it. I'm afraid.
Well, it's an ugly job if somebody.
Yeah, exactly. When this game, when I was putting numbers for this game, I thought the total would be 75. It came about 10 less than that. Clemson comes off the game against North Carolina. 82 points were scored in that. They rolled up 603 yards. Swinney knows offensive talent, and he has a tremendous speed-oriented group again. Clemson 7-2 run over the total. Then you look at the Oklahoma offense. Love what they did by bringing in this new air raid offense under this first-year offensive coordinator. Do have some question marks about the defense at times, as we saw in the Texas game, where Texas had struggled all season long to score. But I have no problem at all with this Oklahoma offense. They are going to be primed and playing very well in this game. They're on a 28-1 run over the total. The Sooners are 8-4 over the total this season. When Oklahoma faces a winning team, 6-1 over the total. That's how I'm going to look at this one. Down south in the Orange Bowl, a high-scoring, fun shootout, as Jeff mentioned, fun to watch. Also a very high-scoring game. I will take Oklahoma and Clemson over the total.